Hey guys, MTG Extra Fun here, and today we're going to go over the top 5 cards. We're going to go through the top 5 commons, then we're going to go through the top 5 uncommons for the colors that it's applicable to. So you have a little bit of an edge in your pre-release game, either tomorrow or Sunday, depending on when you play. This is supposed to come out Thursday, but my classes are packed, and my schedule is going to change again. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday are going to be upload days. So it's probably still going to be Monday is a hunt for invocation, whatever I'm hunting for at that moment in time. And then it's going to be Wednesday is going to be the weekly news or spoilers, which is what it has been for the past couple weeks. And then Friday is opening or something related to Commander, and Sunday is open or something related to Commander. So that's going to be my new schedule, and that should be my schedule until probably about December. Anyways, so we're going to start with the black commons. So we have number 5, Killing Contract. So Killing Contract is a 5-drop sorcery where you destroy a target creature and create 2 colorless treasure artifact tokens with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So this card is number 5 because it's pretty good. I mean, you get to destroy a creature. Sure, it's not instant speed, but you also get 2 mana. So it's basically murder, but it's sorcery speed. And then number 4, we have Fathom Fleet Cutthroat. So it's a 3/3 for 4. When Fathom Fleet Cutthroat enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. So this is number 4 because, say they block with it, or block with a creature, but it doesn't die and it kills yours, you play him and it does die because it was dealt damage this turn. And now we move on to number 3, which is Skullduggery, I think is how you say it. It's a 1-drop instant. Until end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1, and target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1. So this could just be straight up removal if they have a small creature, or it can be the difference that it makes between your creature dying and their creature dying. And then we have number 2, Vanquish the Weak. Vanquish the Weak is a 3-drop instant. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. So I put this card at number 2 because it's an instant and it destroys a creature. The power of 3 or less, a majority of the creatures in the set, unless it's a dinosaur obviously, are small enough to be able to get hit by Vanquish the Weak. And then we have number 1 for black commons, which is Duress. Target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, that player discards that card. So I put this at number 1 because hand disruption is just so crucial. It's really, really good to just knock a card out of somebody's hand, especially in the pre-release where they might only get 1 on a certain card, and nobody wants to get wrecked. And now we're moving on to the black uncommons. So at number 5, we have Seeker's Squire. So Seeker's Squire is a 1/2 for 2. When Seeker's Squire enters the battlefield, it explores. So explore is you reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. So it's kind of like scrying, and if it's a land, you just get to put it in your hand. And then the creature will get bigger. And you can put it back, you can put it on the bottom, or I mean put it back or put it in the graveyard. Number 4, we have Heartless Pillage. Target opponent discards 2 cards for 3 mana. And then raid. If you attack with a creature this turn, create a colorless treasure token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So if you attack and then you play this in second main phase, it's a discard. Target opponent discards 2 cards for 2 mana. That's really good, and that's why it's number 4. Number 3, we have Vicious Conquistador. So it's a 1/2 for 1. Whenever Vicious Conquistador attacks, each opponent loses 1 life. So it's a 1/2 for 1 that deals 2 damage if it hits. That's pretty good. It deals 1 damage regardless if it's blocked or not. And then number 2, we have Walk the Plank. Destroy target merfolk creature, or destroy target non-merfolk creature. The only problem is it's a sorcery instead of an instant, but that's non-merfolk creature is pretty good. You can kill a dinosaur with that. You can kill a big problem creature with that. and that's why it's number 2. And number 1, we have Kitesail Freebooter. So Kitesail Freebooter is a 1/2 for 2 with flying. When Kitesail Freebooter enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, exile that card until Kitesail Freebooter leaves the battlefield. So I put this at number 1 because, again, hand disruption is very, very good. And now we're going to move on to the top 5 white commons. So we have at number 5, Ritual of Rejuvenation. It's a 3-drop instant. You gain 4 life and draw a card. That's pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's good enough to make it into the top 5. Number 4, we have Territorial Hammerskull. It's a 2/3 for 3 dinosaur. Whenever Territorial Hammerskull attacks, tap target creature an opponent controls. So he attacks, you tap one of their creatures down, and if that was their only creature, you're going to hit them. It's just a really good, like, control-y-esque card. And now we have number 3, Bishop Soldier. It's a 2/2 for 2 with lifelink. That's pretty much it. That's all he does. Number 2, we have Raptor Companion. So this reminds me of I think it was an elk in, like, one of the core sets. It's a 3/1 for 2 that doesn't have any abilities. But, I mean, look at that art. Come on. You can appreciate that. And having a 3/1 for 2 is pretty good. And then number 1 is Slash of Talons. It's a 1-drop instant. Slash of Talons deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So I put this in here because it's really a good way to just get rid of their problem creatures. And the really cool thing about this is they're probably not going to have multiples of every creature. So if you can get rid of something really, really powerful, it's really, really good. And now we're going to move on to the top 5 white uncommons. So we have Rallying Roar. It's a 3-drop instant. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, and then you untap them. There's not much to say about that. It's just a good way to kind of get your opponents by surprise, and yeah, they can't really do much. Then number 4, we have Inspiring Cleric. It's a 3/2 for 3. When Inspiring Cleric enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. And it's good. I mean, if you can have like 3 or 4 of these in your deck, that would be great. And then we have number 2, Emissary of Sunrise. It is a 2/1 for 3 with First Strike. When Emissary of Sunrise enters the battlefield, it explores. So like I said, you reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, then put that card back, or put it into your graveyard. And I just think that's a really, really cool mechanic, and it's really fun to play, I think. And then we have number 2, Glorifier of Dusk. So a lot of people were kind of excited about this card. So it's a 4/4 for 5. You can pay 2 life and give it flying until end of turn, and you can pay 2 life and give it vigilance until end of turn. So if you pay 4 life when it attacks, it becomes a 4/4 flying vigilance vampire. And that's pretty good, especially if you have the life to pay and you need to get that last little bit of damage in. This can usually seal the deal. And then we have number 1, Ixalan's Binding. So Ixalan's Binding is a 4-drop enchantment. When Ixalan's Binding enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until the Ixalan's Binding leaves the battlefield. Your opponents can't cast spells of the same name as the exiled card. So this just shuts out a really, really powerful card that you can't deal with or anything else. It's just a really versatile card. So now we're going to move on to the top 5 green commons. At number 5, we have Jade Guardian. Jade Guardian is a 2/2 for 4 with hexproof. When Jade Guardian enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target merfolk you control. So this doesn't say another target merfolk, so I'm pretty sure how it works is you can put a counter on him, so it becomes a 3/3 for 4 with hexproof. And then we move on to number 4, which is Pounce. So Pounce is a 2-drop instant. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So if you're playing black, if you're not playing black, you're going to be lacking a lot in the removal. So this is a green removal that works really well with big creatures. Then we move on to number 3, which is Jungle Delver. It's a 1/1 for 1 where you can pay 4, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I think he's good because late game, if you don't have anything to do, which happens a lot in Limited, you can just make it bigger and bigger and bigger. Number 2, we have Spike-tailed Ceratops. When Spike-tailed Ceratops, it can block an additional creature each combat. I can't talk today, guys, I'm sorry. It's a 4/4 for 5. It's just a big beater that can block more than one thing. And then number 1, we have Ravenous Daggertooth. So this is a new ability type. It's called Enrage. So whenever it's dealt damage, it does some kind of effect. And this one is whenever Ravenous Daggertooth is dealt damage, you gain 2 life. So I really like these cards, and like I said before, I'm probably going to end up making a deck about them, a standard deck. It's going to be kind of budget, I guess. I mean, one of the cards, they're like $6 or $7 a piece right now, but you don't really have to include it. It just helps a lot. Now we're going to move on to the green uncommons. At number 5, we have Kumina's, I don't know how you say that, Speaker. It's a 1/1 for 1. It gets +1/+1 as long as you control another merfolk or an island. So it can be a 2/2 for 1, essentially, if you have another merfolk out. Or if you have 2 of them, they're 2 2/2s. And then we move on to number 4. We have Vineshaper Mystic. It is a 1/3 for 3. When Vineshaper Mystic enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target merfolk you control. And then we have number 3, Wild Growth Walker. So this card's pretty cool. So this is a very situational card, but I think by itself it's really strong. So whenever a creature you control explores, put a +1/+1 counter on Wild Growth Walker, and you gain 3 life. So if you have at least 3 or 4 creatures that can explore, and you have a couple Wild Growth Walkers, I would throw them in, because they're pretty powerful, as long as you have the right pool for it. Then we have number 2, which is another creature with Enrage, except this one, when it's dealt damage, you may search your library for a basic land and put it in the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and it's a 2/3 for 3. Then we have Verdant Rebirth. So Verdant Rebirth, at number 1, sorry. Verdant Rebirth, until end of turn, target creature gains, when this creature dies, return it to its owner's hand, and then you draw a card. For 2 mana, to be able to return the creature to your hand and draw a card in green is really good. Now we're going to move on to red. The top 5 red commons. At number 5, we have Sure Strike. It's a 2-drop instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike in 11th turn. There's not much more you can say. It's just a really good way to get a bunch of damage out of nowhere. Then we have number 4. This card is going to be higher up in priority if you have a bunch of creatures with Enrage, but I put it at number 4 because it deals 1 damage to target creature you control. That creature gains trample until end of turn, and then you get to draw a card. For 1 mana, pinging one of your big creatures, giving it trample, and then drawing a card seems pretty good. Then we have number 3. It's Nest Robber. It's a 2/1 for 2 with haste. That's all it does, and it's just a good creature to get some beats in. Then we have number 2, which is Suncrown Hunters. Again, Enrage, when Suncrown Hunters is dealt damage, it deals 3 damage to target opponent. It's a 5/4 for 6. It's a little heavy on the cost, but dealing lightning bolting somebody every time it's dealt damage seems pretty good. Then we have number 1. It's Dual Shot. So Dual Shot deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures for 1 mana at instant speed. That's really, really good, especially limited, and there's so many small creatures in this set. You can just blow them away. Now we're going to move on to the top 5 red uncommons. So we have Stormfleet Arsonist. It has Raid. When Stormfleet Arsonist enters the battlefield, if you attack with a creature this turn, target opponent sacrifices a permanent. So it's a 4/4 for 5 already, and then if you attack with a creature and play it in your second main phase, they have to sacrifice something. That's really, really powerful. Then we have number 4, which is Fiery Cannonade. It is a 3-drop instant. Fiery Cannonade deals 2 damage to each non-pirate creature. So you got a lot of pirates in your pool. This card's really, really good. Now we're going to move on to number 3, which is Wily Goblin. Wily Goblin enters the battlefield, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 2 mana of any color in your mana pool. So it's a 1/1 for 2, sure, but it's essentially a 1/1 for 1 because you get a treasure token with it. And that seems pretty good, especially in limited. Then we move on to number 2, which is Charging Monstrosaur. It is a 5/5 for 5 with trample and haste. That late game is just crazy good. You just drop it down and they're just like, what? And then you hit them for 5, which is a 4th of their life total, might I add. Then we move on to number 1, which is Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to target creature or player, so it's a lightning bolt with an extra cost, but I think it's really, really good, just because it's instant speed and you can hit them in the face with it too. Then we move on to the top 5 blue commons. So we have Shorekeeper. It's a 0/3 for 1, and you can pay 8 tap, sacrifice Shorekeeper to draw 3 cards. So again, this is one of those things that if you draw this really late game, or it stays on the board for a long time, you'll get to draw 3 cards late game when you don't have anything else to do. That seems pretty good. Then we have Watertrap Weaver at number 4. It is a 2/2 for 3. When Watertrap Weaver enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So that card's really good. It's like a baby a baby Frost Titan. I cannot speak today. I really am sorry. Now we have number 3, which is Spell Pierce. So this is a reprint. This card's really, really good. It's played in Modern. It is a 1-drop instant, counter-target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. For 1 mana, that's really, really powerful. Then we have number 2, which is Cancel, counter-target spell for 3. You really can't get much better than that. I mean, it's the best counter spell in this set, probably, and it's just good. If you have blue and you have cancels, play them. Please play them. And number 1, we have Opt. So, again, another reprint. So, Opt is a 1-drop instant. You scry 1 and then get to draw a card. So you pay 1, you look at the top card of your library, you don't like it, you put it on the bottom, and then you get to draw a card. That's really good, especially in Limited when you don't have a lot of options. Now we're going to move on to the top 5 blue uncommons. So number 5, we have Tempest Caller. So it's a 2/3 for 4 Merfolk Wizard. When Tempest Caller enters the battlefield, tap all creatures target opponent controls. And I like the little flavor text on this card. I am the storm. So this card's really good. You basically pay 4 mana to tap all the creatures and guarantee a swing through. Seems pretty good to me. Now we move on to number 4, which is Siren Storm Tamer. So it's a 1-drop 1/1 with flying, and you pay a blue, sacrifice Siren Storm Tamer, counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control. So that seems really, really good, and I think this is going to be one of the more expensive uncommons, just because you could just sack a little 1/1 to counter a spell that could possibly kill you. Somebody goes to fireball you, or somebody goes to do something like that, or destroy a land or something. If somebody plays Starstorm, or not Starstorm, the big card that destroys a land and deals 20 damage to something, so they wouldn't be able to destroy the land. They would just get nothing. Then we have Chart a Course at number 3. So Chart a Course is a 2-drop sorcery. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you attack with a creature this turn. So if you attack with a creature, and then you play that in your second main phase, you get to draw 2 cards for 2. Can't really beat that. Except you can, obviously, because it's number 3. And then we move on to number 2, which is Lookout's Dispersal. So, obviously with blue, you want to play heavy with the control. So this is a really good card. It's a 3-drop instant. Lookout's Dispersal costs 1 less to cast if you control a pirate. And then it's counter-target spell unless its controller pays 4. So it essentially becomes a negate that they have to pay 4, which most of the time in Limited especially they can't. And then we move on to number 1. Perilous Voyage. It's a 2-drop instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. If its converted mana cost was 2 or less, you scry 2. So this is like a boomerang, but it's less. It costs less blue, and if the mana cost was 2 or less, you get to scry 2 as well. So this card is very, very good. Now we're going to move on to the top artifact card, or the top 2 artifacts, because there's not very many artifacts in this set, and a lot of them are not that great, and especially in Limited, most of the artifacts in the set are rares, so you can't really hope to get artifact rares. So I just picked one. So we have, for the common, we have Prying Blade. It is a 1-drop artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0, and whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and it has equip for 2. So, any way to add treasure is really fun. The coolest thing would be to win with that card that you win if you have a certain number of treasures. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I'm sure I'll have it on screen for you to see. And then the number 1 artifact in this set, which is an uncommon, I think, is Sentinel Totem. So it's a 1-drop artifact. When Sentinel Totem enters the battlefield, scry 1. Which you look at the top card, you can put it on top, you can leave it on top, or you can put it on bottom, either way. And you can tap it, sacrifice it, or no, tap it, exile all cards from all graveyards. So there's not going to be anybody playing any kind of graveyard shenanigans. And then we have the top multicolored non-rare card. So this card, I don't know what they were thinking when they made it, but they did. It is a 2/2 for a red or white with flying and menace. So it's a 2/2 for 2 with flying, and it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. That's insane. Why? Why would they do that? I don't understand. Okay. So now I'm doing a little bit of an extra thing. These are the top rares / the top rare or mythic from each color. So we're going to start off with black. So Vraska's Contempt is really, really strong. It is a 4-drop instant. You exile target creature or planeswalker, and then you gain 2 life. So not only do you can get rid of something at instant speed, including a planeswalker, but you also gain 2 life. This card is really, really good, and I'm really, really excited for it. And then we have white. So my top white card for limited is Kinjali's Sunwing. So it is a 2/3 for 3 dinosaur with flying. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So in limited, this card is really, really good. I think it's somewhat mediocre in everything else. That could just be me, but I'm not a huge fan of it, outside of limited anyway. Then we have green. For green, we have Ripjaw Raptors. So this was the card that I was talking about in the deck tech that I'm going to be making for standard. It's like $7 or $8 right now. It's sitting pretty high. So you don't have to include this, but I would. So it's a 4/5 for 4 with Enrage. When it is dealt damage, you get to draw a card. That's all it is. And the art's so cool. I love the art in this set. It's beautiful. Then we move on to red. So my top red rare is Rampaging Ferocidon. It is a 3/3 for 3, which is good enough on its own. And then it has Menace, which means it can't be blocked by unless it's 2 or more creatures. Players can't gain life, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. So it has a drawback to you, but if they're playing a lot more creatures than you, they're going to be taking a lot more damage. And then we're going to move on to blue. My top rare in blue is Spell Swindle. Spell Swindle is really good. So it's a 5-drop instant. Counter target spell, create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. They have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It's just really good. You counter a spell straight up, and then you get mana equal to that spell's converted mana cost. It's not as good as like the Mana Drain, which is coming on Iconic Masters, but it's still pretty good. And then we have the top artifact rare or mythic. And I chose Dowsing Dagger. So it's a 2-drop artifact equipment. When Dowsing Dagger enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2 0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that you may transform Dowsing Dagger. And when it transforms, it turns into Lost Veil. So you add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. So this card's pretty good. It starts out as an equipment, and then it turns into a land that gives you 3 mana. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Then we have Multicolor, and I chose Hostage Taker. So Hostage Taker is a 2/3 for 4. When Hostage Taker enters the battlefield, exile a target artifact or creature until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Somebody has something on the other side of the board that you want, you just take it from them, and then you get to play it on your side. That seems pretty good to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and again, this is my list. This may not be yours, but I'm not actually going to play in the pre-release this weekend. I'm going to go get my kit, and I'm going to open it for you guys, because I thought that would be more entertaining for you. Yeah, so these are the kind of cards that I would choose if I played. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends and family. Share it on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Reddit, anything like that. It really, really helps. And I appreciate all the comments that I've been getting, and it makes me feel good that people are actually watching it and they're enjoying it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.